Welcome, everybody. Welcome. What's going on, everybody? This is your boy, Kyode. We got Lewis on the other side. This is episode 54 of On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Welcome, everybody. Lewis, what's going on, Playboy? I'm glad to hear you're okay, man. You were having some weather issues over there in the good old state of Texas. How you feel? How's it going over there, man?
Well, first of all, what up, everybody? I'm glad to not suffered a power outage. We've gotten some tornadoes and torrential weather here in Houston, Texas, but we're all safe, thank goodness. And I hope everyone else, if you're listening in the Houston area, I hope you're all safe as well. But without further ado, episode 54. I am absolutely thrilled to know that we've been wasting our time 54 times.
54 times.
So we've been here at it, late nights, post-production, pre-production, all of that. Yeah, 54, man.
54 times, Lewis. I've shared this thing we call podcasting with you, my brother, and we are, just doing our thing, man. We're just talking about doing our little hobby. We just talk about wrestling and just sharing it with the people, seeing if they agree with us or not. But it's been a pleasure, my friend. But yeah, listen, we got some stuff to talk about, Lewis. We're gonna bring back the good old segment called Who Betta. Who Betta? Now, Who Betta? Oh, okay. Sorry, they wanted to cheer for that. Yes. So Who Betta, y'all? And we got a good one for you. And I didn't, I thought about this today, and I was like, yo, this individual, this person, has been three different people in different stages of their career, in terms of gimmick, in terms of mic skills, in terms of look, in terms of level on the card, champion, mid card, heel, baby. They've just been different. And I think we got to give some props and some love to none other than your boy Christian. Got to give it to Christian, man. Woo, woo. And we got to talk about Christian in this regard. Who Betta? Was it WWE Christian? Is it TNA Christian? Or is it the current Christian we're getting in AEW? You know what I'm saying? So, Lewis, I want you to start us off, man. Who Betta right now, in your opinion, which Christian you going with? I mean, because like I said, all of them very significant in their times.
Yeah.
Very interesting careers in each stage. But man, I'm just curious, man. What do you think?
Man, talk about pressure. You're putting me on the spot, Kyode.
Put you on the spot, man.
So are we saying Who Betta from the WWE, TNA, and AEW versions, or just TNA and AEW?
Nah, we're doing all three.
That's hard. So
all three.
The WWE Christian, there's a lot of layers because the majority of his career was in WWE. He started off with Edge in the tag team, and then he broke off as a singles wrestler.
Right.
I think Christian really started to find his groove when he became Captain Charisma, which was 04, 05. But that was his final run in WWE at that time because his contract was up. He was disgruntled and wanted to leave. So he bounced and went to TNA in 2005, and he was there for 3 years, from 05, and then he left in 08, came back to WWE, stood there until he retired and unretired, and then and then came to AEW. I think it was like 2021 maybe. But I gotta say this, if I'm doing a little bit of a retrospect, TNA Christian Cage was pretty damn good.
It was good.
Yeah. And the reason why I want to give Christian props for that specific era was because right when he left WWE was when he was really finding his groove as a singles competitor. And he had just finished a feud with John Cena, and John Cena was getting hot at the time, or was hot at the time. So he basically took that and it translated over into his time in TNA. Now, TNA, much different environment. They're not working live television, so I get all that. But he was doing some really good promo work. Mm-hmm. He had some banger matches with the likes of Jeff Jarrett, Christian Cage, Samoa Joe, Sting, hell, even Rhino. You know, he was putting on some very good matches. So that was a fun run. Then, you know, he comes back to WWE, and you know, he's got some stuff going on there. But it's such a long run that you could kind of tell that he was back home in a sense, but he's also getting older. So he's like in and out of the main event. He's mid-card, upper mid-card, blah, 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 blah. Now, I really, really love Christian in AEW because his heel work is fantastic.
Some of the best.
I know it really is some of the best. Like the stuff that he was doing with Jack Perry. I mean, like this whole stable with like him being a father figure.
The patriarchy's dope, man. Kill Switch. You got Mama Wayne, who looks like a fine glass of wine. Mama Wayne. Look at Mama Wayne. Man.
And
Mama Wayne.
And props to him for raising Mama Wayne's son, right?
Yeah, man.
I love this is such a he's going back to like being despicable Christian, which I love. Yeah. And he's really all in with this whole gimmick and the program that he has with Swerve. I think the storyline really picked up steam this past week on Dynamite. And I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying his run. So as far as Who Betta, that's difficult, but if I'm gonna choose for a singles competitor, as a singles performer,
let me hear it.
I'm going to go with his TNA run.
Okay.
It might be an unpopular opinion, but that 3-year span, Christian Cage really proved that he can. Not that not that we didn't know that he could go and he can work, you know, when he was in WWE, but he really got to shine as a singles competitor. Now, whether he was a draw from a business standpoint, that's neither, you know, that's here nor there. But I think in terms of quality matches, memorable moments, probably gonna go with his TNA run.
Well, I'm not mad at the TNA run. And like
let me hear it, K-Weezy. Let me hear it.
I'm not mad at your TNA run when you picking Christian Cage, the TNA version of Christian Cage, because you know what? I love that TNA Christian Cage. I liked him more than the WWE Christian Cage. Christian.
There you
go. So I'm going to eliminate WWE because I didn't think Christian didn't do much for me while he was there. The Captain Charisma thing was probably the only thing I really enjoyed, aside from, you know, the Edge and Christian, you know, comedy duo.
Yeah.
But they were a comedy duo, and they really didn't, you know, comedy duos. I'm learning something, Lewis. I don't really like comedy duos. I don't enjoy the New Day. I don't enjoy many comedy duos in wrestling. I just feel like it's silly, it's whack, it's kind of corny, and does nothing for me. Unless you can name a comedy duo off the top of your head that I can be like, oh, okay, actually I did like them. But right now, I can't think of anybody.
Man, but Keone, I think that's a little unfair to call Edge and Christian. Like,
they were a comedy duo.
I don't think you can typecast them as a comedy duo, bro.
Lewis, yes, think about it.
Listen, they had comedians.
5-second freeze.
That's classic. Okay,
it's classic, but
they had the you know, those 5-second poses, like that shit was golden. And yes, they had their comedy stuff, right? However, they weren't strictly comedy. They were just these. I mean, like they
immature goofballs.
Yeah, right. They were immature goofballs. That is the perfect term.
Okay,
they were immature goofballs, but they won damn near every ladder/TLC match against the Hardys and the Dudleys.
True.
And when it came time to show out and show their toughness, like with the concertos and all that, so. when I'm thinking of the Attitude Era, and I know I'm digressing, but when I'm thinking of the Attitude Era, and I'm thinking of comedy duos, Too Cool.
Okay.
Too Cool was a comedy duo.
Too Cool.
The Headbangers.
Yes.
The Headbangers were a comedy duo. I can't think of anything like Edgy Christian. Yeah, they were entertaining, they were funny, but I wouldn't necessarily categorize them as a comedy duo.
All right, let me take that back.
But to each his own.
I was a little harsh, Lewis. I'm sorry. I was a little harsh. Probably not a comedy duo. But I only remember them doing funny stuff, right? Like I don't all the titles they won and all that good stuff, like that's great. All the TLC matches, amazing spots, just great stuff, right? But Christian himself didn't really do much for me in WWE. He just didn't, man. He just didn't. But TNA showed me he can actually carry a company. Your boy was champion for a minute, and carried that company in an era where I thought he was pretty over, and he was over, right? He had the music, he had the new look, he had the new attitude. I enjoyed TNA Christian. He had great matchups. But this AEW Christian, I'm enjoying more so his gimmick, his persona, his mic work, his mic skills, but not too much of his matches. Not that his matches are bad. I enjoyed his matches in TNA more.
I mean, he was younger.
It was younger. It was a different time. But if I'm picking a Christian that I've enjoyed so much of, I feel like this Christian in AEW is the most confident and reassured on who he is as a wrestler, as a character, as a performer, as a heel. I feel like this is the most confidence I've seen in him in terms of all of that, where it's just delivering on all fronts. Even his matches are good, right? I'm not saying his matches are bad. They're just not TNA's, right?
Yeah.
It was a different time, right? TNA's matches was just more entertaining to me. They were just a little more, the matchups were just a little more intriguing. And then he was champion, and he was pretty much the guy for a minute. He was a huge get at the time for TNA. That was a huge get.
He was.
So if I'm going to pick, Lewis, if I'm going to pick a specific Christian, I'm going to go with the AEW Christian by a very small margin. And I'm going with the AEW Christian because of the things I just named, where I feel he is so much more confident. You can sense it. He has command of the audience. He knows who he is as a character. And just, it almost seems like he's got free reign to kind of go in dark directions, which makes it crazy. I like the stable. I think it works. Everything just works. And he's right now the hottest heel in professional wrestling, in my opinion. The hottest heel in professional wrestling. He just is. So I'm going to go with Who Betta? I'm going to say your boy Christian in AEW. Let's give it up. Yeah, I'm going to say AEW Christian right now for me is hitting on all cylinders, my brother. All cylinders.
Hey, I can't even be mad at that because Christian is firing on all cylinders.
Yeah,
his heel work is great, and he's actually reaffirming why he's one of the more underrated talents of the last decade and a half or 20 years, if you will.
Because who knew you could get this out of Christian, right? Like when you saw that the AEW made this big announcement, man, we got a big acquisition, blah 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 blah. And you hear Christian's music come on, I'm like, oh. And Christian's start in AEW wasn't the hottest. It was like, it was lukewarm.
Yeah.
It was lukewarm. But this stuff, oh my God. Mama Wayne, Nick Wayne, Kill Switch, the patriarchy, I'm your father.
I'm your father.
The obnoxious turtlenecks and the ridiculous suit jackets and blazers, and it's just it just works. And then his command of and you know what's crazy about this, Lewis, is that he is not even that aggressive in his promo. in terms of using a lot of words and trying to sound different every time he's out there. Christian pretty much does the same thing, but just tweaks the deliverance just a little bit to make it feel different for every place or every arena he's in. And that little like change, just it's great. It just proves, man, that he is in the perfect spot. And I love him and Swerve, man. I think that's going to be a good match. Of course, he's not going to go over, but I think it's a hell of a heel bad guy to kind of play off of Swerve. And they got that history where Swerve beat the hell out of Nick Wayne in Nick Wayne's own studio, in his own wrestling ring. And now, you're using that as part of the storyline. It just works. It fits, man. So Christian
it does. Yeah,
I'm going
it does,
with Christian, man. I'm going with Christian.
Well, one way or another, we're giving Christian his flowers. So he's better than him.
Oh yeah, right. Exactly.
He's better. Exactly. He's better than himself. But yeah, Christian Cage absolutely deserves his flowers, man.
100%. But let's get into some AEW news. So, Lewis, you dropped on me today, my brother, the latest in the AEW ratings disaster. Lewis, hit the on the mark audience with a little bit of the news, my brother.
Well, Dynamite is continuing a very troubling trend, and it's the opposite of up. So, in terms, look, I'm showing support because I got the hat on.
Listen, you got the hat on, my brother.
Listen. Oh man. Look, we continue to support AEW, but look, we got to poke fun.
Lewis, man.
So this week's Dynamite the viewership was 672,000.
My goodness.
They are a far cry from doing 1 million viewers a week. I don't even remember when's the last time they even hit remotely close to that. It's been like a year and a half maybe. And I understand that there's playoffs, there's other things on TV. They finished in 6th place, all things considered.
Yeah, right.
But
right. That is a low blow. That's a Ric Flair low blow, my brother.
That's a poke in the eye.
That's a poke in the That's a poke in the eye.
Yeah.
Damn. So I was reading the article you sent me, Lewis.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. They haven't hit that low of a number since 2021, after the whole January 6th insurrection.
Yeah.
During that time frame. That was the last time they hit that low of a number, which, if you ask yourself, okay, at least it wasn't like a year, like it wasn't sooner, right? But what I'm saying, like it wasn't. But the fact that it was that long ago is interesting. But Lewis, why are they continuing the down slope? Would you say, like, what's going on with AEW? Is it what you mentioned, playoffs? I mean, because listen, you got the Knicks, you got the Rangers.
Yeah.
Both New York teams are in the playoffs, so that's big. It is playoff time. WNBA just started for whoever watches that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things still happening. Man, what do you think, man?
And look, I'm a big up New York. Whenever New York is in the playoffs, it doesn't matter if it's the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL. Like, people tune in because it's New York.
Yeah.
Like, hello, you know what I'm saying? It's New York. And the Knicks haven't been this hot in a long ass time. Yeah. And the Rangers haven't been this hot in a while as well. So it's intriguing for the general public and the casual sports fan, if you will. However, that should not be the determining factor for AEW's declining viewership. You and I spoke about something interesting recently where you specifically said that AEW has too many titles. And that's been a very hot topic of conversation for the past couple of years.
Oh yeah.
That every year they keep throwing out a different belt.
Yeah.
So I'm going to name you all the titles. You got your World Heavyweight Champion, you got your World Tag Team Champions, you got your Women's World Champion, you got your TNT Champion, you got your International Champion. That's 5.
That's 5 right there.
You got your Continental Champion now.
Damn.
Okada's belt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You have your TBS. Did I mention TBS champion?
You mentioned TBS or TNT, but that will take the place of it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's 7.
TBS, that's 7. You got your trios championships.
Oh, wow.
That's 8 championships, and that's not even including the ROH titles that they occasionally feature on AEW television. So even if you remove the ROH titles, that is 8 championships for 5 hours of television programming a week. 2 hours for Dynamite, 1 for Rampage, 2 for Collision.
Way too many.
There is no need to have that many championships because what are these people fighting for? Like,
exactly.
How do you distinguish the international championship from the continental title?
Yeah,
how do you distinguish the TNT title from the world title? How do you distinguish the TBS title from the women's world title?
Right.
And then your regular tag titles, that's clearly defined from the trios titles because obviously the trios titles are.
Did you name the men's tag titles?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You think okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But even so, man, it's just too many championships and it's too hard to keep track of. And then when you're featuring Ring of Honor titles on AEW programming, the casual viewer is going to be like, okay, what the hell is ROH? Where can I find ROH if I want to tune in? Why are these ROH people featured on AEW television?
Lewis,
it's the inconsistency of the way they're booking talent.
Yes.
And it's just too much. It's too much. They didn't need to introduce so many titles. They were fine the way it was 2 to 3 years ago when it was just the world title, the women's title, the tag titles, and the TNT title.
That was it.
That's all you need. I mean, you got a mid-card title, your main event title, tag titles, women's title. That's it. You just 4 titles. That's it. I mean, you didn't need a secondary women's title. You didn't need a secondary men's mid-card title.
No.
You didn't need trios championships.
Why is there a trios championship, man? There's not.
And we barely see them.
Do you know who's holding the trios championship?
Is it the Acclaimed or Bullet Club? It's Bullet Club Gold, right? Okay.
Bullet Club Gold is holding those championships, and you barely see them. They have not defended those titles.
Now, do they wrestle on Collision? Is that
they're mostly on Collision? They're mostly on Collision.
Go ahead. Finish your point.
And to be honest, I don't remember the last time I sat and watched a whole Collision show. Yeah. So to be honest, maybe they've been defending them and I just haven't seen it. But Lewis, you've named 7 titles or 8 titles or whatever. That is way too many, bro. And like you said, the inconsistency in booking began before all of those titles also. So that bad habit alone, now mixed with all those titles, makes this a real terrible, messy situation. And I really hope there's someone in Tony Khan's ear whispering, like whispering to him, saying, hey, we need to consolidate some of these titles. There is no need. I also think, and going back to what you said, Lewis, I think the biggest thing is the inconsistency of the booking. You don't know who you're going to get week by week. I see different people on AEW programming every week Jeff Cobb. I don't care about Jeff Cobb. He wrestled this past Wednesday. I don't care about Jeff Cobb. Give me somebody.
Jeff Cobb
who
is good though.
Lewis, I don't care. I want to see some people who are missing from your roster who can go and give me some story with that. Like, I don't care about these rushing guys from Japan or ROH guys who you want to give a rub to because they're really good. The audience doesn't care. They want to see the people that are consistently AEW originals. Where's the Acclaimed, bro? Put the Acclaimed on that slot. Give them the 5 minutes, right? As a tag team. Forget the trios. As a tag team. Bring them back as a tag team. You know what I'm saying? Like, put them back into the picture. Like, it's wild to me. And what's even more wilder is that I don't remember the last time I saw or seen Malachi Black in the ring that long in AEW. Like, this past Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
They're continuing the story, of course, with him and Adam Copeland. And it's the most I've ever seen all three of them, the House of Black, on screen together, doing something that is story-driven. You need more of that. You need more of that.
And I'm liking the Adam Copeland and Malachi Black on the side.
I love it.
I'm liking the build up, and I think they're going to deliver.
Lewis, I hope, and the rumblings have been that this is supposed to possibly be Adam Copeland joining the House of Black. I hope that doesn't happen.
Really?
I hope that doesn't happen. Hope that doesn't happen. So I'm going to say that's not going to happen, but that's been some people saying in the wrestling world, like, this kind of looks like Adam Copeland's losing his confidence. Malachi is, the spooky guy who could take that confidence in your soul. And, he's got Adam now as his little puppet. That is what people are saying the writings on the wall is. So I hope
trying to recreate the Brood, like that kind of thing. It could work. I think it could work if done right. Because
you think so? I don't think there's room for Adam Copeland on that team. Like that.
But that's what I'm saying. They gotta. It could work. I could see the potential because Edge naturally fits with that kind of gimmick, because he's got a dark side and all of that. But yeah, to go back to your point with the inconsistency of the booking, and I mentioned this for a long time since Collision debuted, because we're going on a year now of AEW
June.
Collision.
Next month it'll be a year.
And in that 12-month span, Quixote, can we distinguish who's a member of the Dynamite roster versus who's a member of the Collision roster? Because I know I can't.
No, I can't.
I think the last time I watched a full episode of Dynamite must have been last summer, pretty much, like last August or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Back when Punk was still in the company.
Yeah. Pretty terrible. Here's my idea.
And then Collision is on a terrible time slot.
Terrible.
You don't know who you're gonna get when you're watching that show.
Mm-hmm.
They previously advertised matches, and they've developed a consistency in terms of who you're most likely gonna see on Collision. So it'll be like House of Black, Bryan Danielson, The Acclaimed, Adam Copeland. Great, but that's never been clearly defined to the general audience or even the smarks. Like the marks don't even know who's on what show. And that's frustrating to me, because then what the fuck is the purpose of having another 2-hour show if you can't make it different from Dynamite? Like, yes, I understand that it's different because you're featuring different talent, but at least make it clear. Make it clear that certain titles are exclusive to Collision. Certain talent is exclusive to Collision. Don't just give me Bryan Danielson is on Dynamite this week, but by the way, Swerve is also going to show up on Collision because he's going to address the audience after winning his first world title. Come on, man. I need clarity. Like, if you want to take this company, Tony Khan, if you want to make this company thrive and have it grow and not regress, you need to establish clarity with your talent, and you need to like. There's no need for all of the belts. Like you do not need that many championships.
Louis,
Not even WWE has that many championships, but WWE has Raw and they have SmackDown.
Exactly.
You know, it's very clear, very clear. It's not clear with AEW. That's the problem.
Here's what I think should happen, Louis. Very easily, you disassemble ROH, take your top guys and top girls from ROH, throw them into Collision, split that AEW Dynamite roster, sprinkle some on Collision, keep your A level or whatever you want to call them on Dynamite, and then you insert that 1 hour of Rampage with the guys and gals who have potential and use it as like sort of a developmental NXT-ish kind of thing. Yeah. And there you go. Now you've mixed in some new blood into Collision, right? Like Athena, who's world champion still, who I love, who's doing her thing, is subjected to Collision? Like, I mean, to ROH? Like,
yeah, not even Collision. Collision would be a promotion for her.
Like, why?
And like, we're not even mentioning Rampage. That's the
not even mentioning
that's the
Rampage.
Kicker. We're not even mentioning Rampage. Like,
it's a waste.
What's the incentive to tune in to Rampage for 1 hour on a Friday night? Like, who's on that show? You know what I'm saying? Is it the people that couldn't make the cut for Dynamite or couldn't make the cut for Collision?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Well, Rampage is taped together with Dynamite, so I guess, yeah. But still, it's not clear to the audience.
Exactly.
I mean, look, I am an AEW fan. I'm obviously rocking a fucking trucker hat that I got from my very first AEW event that I attended.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see AEW thrive, and I'm generally entertained by it. You know, I like tuning into it on a weekly basis. I enjoy. I go out of my way to watch the pay-per-views because the matches are always bangers. But yo, they gotta get their booking straight, man. They gotta get like a lot of things straight.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be more than happy to buy a ticket to AEW. You know, the next time they come to Houston, but I need to know what I'm purchasing a ticket for. So if you guys announce, oh, Collision is coming to Rosenberg, Texas, like, great. Okay, I would love to buy a ticket, but I don't know who's going to be on the show.
Yeah, who's going to be there?
You know, straight up, like I don't know who's going to be on this. So that right there is that encapsulates what many fans, like the issues that many fans probably have. Like, why should I buy a ticket if I don't? You know, you never know what you're going to get in advance when you purchase a ticket to an event anyway. But until it gets closer to the event.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing the way AEW is now, the way it's structured with their roster, you don't know what you're getting with either show. So
don't know.
It's you're gonna get banging matches. That's the most that you can ask for. You know you're gonna get some really banger matches, but that's not enough. As I'm saying,
that's not enough anymore, man. It's been we're 5 years in. That ain't gonna cut it no more.
Right. This is not an indie promotion.
Exactly.
It's not an indie promotion. And if you ask me, oh man, I'm fired up. I'm gonna go on a little tiny rant here.
Oh, I love it. Let's hear it.
Fucking Tony Khan needs to sell ROH. Why did you buy ROH in the first place? You are struggling to run AEW and grow AEW, but yet you're trying to run another brand. And ROH has such a rich history with the independent crowds, like it's ROH. Like some of the greatest wrestlers in the world are alumni of ROH. And I feel like you're running it into the ground because you're blurring the lines between who's on ROH and who's in AEW. Right. Like Claudio Castagnoli. Tell me, please, is he an AEW member or a member of the ROH roster?
Right now, you would say he's AEW because I've seen him mostly on AEW, but I haven't seen ROH because I don't know where to find ROH. So he could be on there too.
You got to get the streaming service. It's the Honor Club joint.
I'm not doing it. See, you right there. I'm not doing it.
I would prefer, in order to maintain the legacy of ROH, I would just prefer if he sold it to the next buyer and like let them have their own creative vision for ROH, man.
Lewis,
And look,
just...
we had a blast when we went to Super Card of Honor. That was a very, very good event.
Very good event.
But it's like that they stepped up their game because it was WrestleMania weekend.
Oh yeah.
And usually ROH, typically they put on very good pay-per-views. But what else is there for with ROH? Like, what is ROH these days? We at least knew what it was back then. You know, it was an independent promotion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with with a larger budget than most. You know, it was like a TNA type. You know,
there's no identity for ROH, and that's the problem.
Yeah. It's like AEW's younger sibling almost,
right. Or Tony Khan's side piece that he just kind of visits on the weekends, sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like he just kind of plays with it and does whatever he wants with it, and then when he's done with it, you got to just choose it away. You know what I'm saying? Like it's nothing. It's just it was the bragging rights to say to the world, me, Tony Khan, I bought this legendary independent, and now I'm going to do with it whatever I want to do with it. And to be honest, man, I think what he should just do is again scrap it completely and throw your top guys and girls on Collision, maybe sprinkle some on Dynamite, throw the rest into Rampage, and solely focus on those 3 shows. ROH, you don't need to do it, man. It's just a waste. It's a waste of time. It's just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense.
No.
But Lewis, let's move on, because one thing that did make sense on Wednesday night on Dynamite was I think we got our heel Mercedes Moné.
Oh yeah,
I think it's official.
It's about time.
This was the best promo she's done in the company. Willow was just as good, and you know what, man? I'm looking at Willow, and I'm like, you're adorable, and I like you a lot. Like I like you. Like you are so nice. I want to cheer for you.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for you. And then Mercedes is sitting over there, and I'm like, yo, you are the perfect foil for this entire... You are the perfect heel. And I hope they dig in next week with just another, like, big segment that kind of solidifies, and now we're heading into the... You know, that's the go-home show, right? Next week, right? Is it the go-home? Yeah. So the go-home show next week on Dynamite, I want to see them step it up to the next level. But I gotta say, this Wednesday was very good from both, and now we actually saw Mercedes go through a table, which was perfect. It just worked, man. But here's the thing, Lewis. Mercedes can't lose that match clean.
No.
She can't. So are we looking at Willow possibly chasing Mercedes again? Like, will Willow do the Cody Rhodes story? Is she going to chase the title and get back to Mercedes? Or what do we do with Willow? Mercedes is holding the secondary title, and it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. And then does Stokely and Statlander fit in anywhere in this in terms of turning their back on Willow and joining a Mercedes stable? I am very, very curious on the booking of this match. What in the hell are they going to do?
They did a great job with that sell.
Yeah.
With selling the match. That I really enjoyed that whole segment. Great promo work from both. Mercedes has finally, 8 weeks later, found her groove.
Right.
And I think it's clearly defined that she's a heel.
100%.
You hit the nail on the head. You look at Willow and you're like, I want to root for you.
Yeah.
And then you look across the table and you're like, Mercedes, man, what a bitch.
Yeah.
Like I just want to see you get your teeth knocked in, man. and she got powerbombed to the table, and that's what the audience wants to see.
That's what they want to see.
Willow's definitely going to chase again because of the history from what happened last year. And Willow she took that dig where it was like, well, the last time we faced in the ring, I walked out as a champion and you didn't walk out at all.
That was good.
That was awesome. Because that's straight facts.
Yeah.
So the TBS title goes to Mercedes. She's got to win because you will irreparably damage Mercedes if you do not put the championship on her at Double or Nothing. Yeah. She has to win the championship because there's been too much hype around her signing and her being one of the marquee faces for the promotion. Willow doesn't need the title right now. I mean, it's fine that she's the champion, but she's over enough to where the fans can get behind her for her to chase Mercedes so that Mercedes can get her shit kicked in and all that. Right. Yeah, Mercedes definitely goes over. It's going to be a short reign for Willow, and I don't mind it.
That's fine. That's fine.
I think straight up, I'm thinking Stokely and Chris Statlander turn on her at some point.
You think they turn on her?
I don't know if it's going to be at Double or Nothing or maybe the Dynamite afterwards. But Willow and that crew just don't mesh. They don't mix. It doesn't make sense.
But Louis, do they turn on her and join Mercedes, or do they turn on her and kind of just go away from her?
Nah, they link up with Mercedes.
They link up with Mercedes.
Yeah, because Mercedes is the type of character where she can have Stokely in her pocket, and Chris Statlander is like her close confidant, assistant, or whatever you want to call it, henchman, if you will. Yeah, I think there's some potential there.
I would love to see Statlander, and I think I mentioned this to you like early in the week. I would love to see Statlander turn into someone different, like Mercedes takes her on this extravagant makeover. Like, I'm going to turn you into a mini CEO. Like, you're going to be right by my side, and she turns into like this different person. I would love to see that. I think that would be a really interesting character shift for Statlander. The whole moon, sun, solar system gimmick is ridiculous to me. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't care for it. And Stokely is the perfect manager to be like the talking piece. Mercedes can do a little bit, but Stokely can do a lot of it. And also play off the whole, like, they got things that they can like inside joke about, maybe R&B songs. Like Stokely always is referencing something with music or R&B or a black figure in history, and maybe they can kind of play off of that a little bit, and it could be fun. And then she could just have like a tear. Mercedes could just tear through the women, and all that stuff, and just then make her way up to the world championship. Being in that realm. So I'm now very interested in this match, man. I'm curious.
Me too.
I'm curious on the booking of this, and see where they go with it, man. Really, really interested.
Yeah, it should be good. I think the match is going to deliver. I think the crowd is going to be really into it. They've done a good job building towards it, and part of it is it's Mercedes' first match in like a year. Yeah, so there's a lot of anticipation behind that in itself.
Right, and I think they're going to deliver. There were some rumblings. People thought that this was going to be the actual main event, and I was like, this doesn't need to be the main event. It shouldn't be the main event. And I don't think either one is ready for that to be the main event. Right? Willow is she's good, but she ain't main event ready, not in my opinion. And Willow, and Mercedes, like you mentioned, is just coming back from a major injury. I wouldn't throw her with all that pressure to try to perform in a main event yet. So
yeah, I agree.
That was cool to think that, but I think this might be. I think it would be the last 3 matches. It will be one of the last 3. It will be Willow and Mercedes. It will be Swerve and Christian, and the Anarchy in the arena will end in the night. That's I think the booking.
Yeah, I think the Anarchy in the arena, that makes the most sense to put that as the closing match.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For sure.
Now, Lewis, I was going to get into the king and queen of the ring but I'm going to be honest. I'm losing track of who's in it and not. We could hit that point next week when we see who's actually going to be in the finals in Saudi Arabia next Saturday, which is when that big, PLE takes place, right? I'd rather talk about that. Who cares about who's going to make it or not? I don't have a prediction either, man. I don't know. People saying Jade might win for the women. I don't think she needs it. Walking around with that stupid crown on your head, but maybe she could bring some dignity to it and not make it a comedy thing or make it like a prop for just being ridiculous. Maybe she can make it cool. And then on the guy's side, Jay, maybe?
Yeah. Jay, or if they can find a better heel to win it. But
Gunther doesn't need that, right? Do you put it on?
As long as they don't have them wear the crown.
That's what I'm saying.
Or at least make the crown look cool. I don't want it to look like a fucking Burger King crown.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It can't look stupid. It can't be stupid. It can't be gimmicky. It's got to feel like it's cool, like it's a badge of honor. And maybe with Triple H running things, it might actually feel like that. So we'll hit that. We'll hit that up. We'll hit that up when we get closer to Saturday at King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi.
For sure.
Lewis, you got anything, man?
That's all, folks.
Listen, guys, thank you for joining us for episode 54. This is On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Join us every week. We bring you audio and video. Also, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube at On the Mark Wrestling or On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. It's one of the two, right? We use